county seat. I'm Chad Booth. It's been 22 years since Grand Staircase Escalante was declared a monument, much to the surprise of everyone who lives in Utah. That single event started a bitter feud with the federal government, which has come full circle with the reduction of the monument. And that is our topic today. So why was this such a battle? Well, let's start by defining a monument with Rhea in the basics.
For the last 3 years, national monument creation, reduction, or justification has pretty much been on the news or in discussions on a daily basis. Experts claim that both the creation and reduction of monuments is a misuse of presidential power. There has been just as much controversy on what qualifies for monument protection as what doesn't. Teams of lawyers argue about appropriate protection under the Antiquities Act. It would seem that the Antiquities Act is a pretty complicated and lengthy piece of legislation, right? That's what I thought until I printed a copy out to read. And do you know what I found? The Antiquities Act is 1 page, 4 paragraphs, 421 words, and only 2 sentences deal with the creation of a monument. It turns out that the Antiquities Act states very clearly that a monument is only declared to protect objects, very specific ones at that. Here's the list. Are you ready? Historic landmarks, like a Pony Express corral. Historic and prehistoric structures, like Anasazi ruins. Objects of historic or scientific interest, like a meteorite. That's it. It further states that the parcels of land that may be reserved are to be confined to the smallest area compatible with the care of that object to be protected. The original version capped it at 640 acres. So how many unique and specific historic and scientific objects were listed in the proclamation for the creation of the Grand Staircase Monument to make it 1.9 million acres in size? I've got to tell you, the list is pretty short. There are only 8 mentioned by name. But then the declaration goes on to list dozens of other things to protect that are not unique, not specific, and in many cases, not even objects, but nonetheless worthy of a monument. Here are just a few. I quote, burning coal seams, steep-walled canyons and plateaus, many arches and bridges, sandstone and shale deposits, sedimentary rock layers, 5 life zones, abundant varieties of plants spreading across large land formations such as, are you ready for this? Pinyon juniper, an abundance of pack rat middens, mountain lion, bear, bighorn sheep, eagles, falcons. Well, you get the idea. It seems that the 4-page, 18-paragraph monument declaration spends a great deal of time and words trying to justify protecting lots of things that aren't historical landmarks, sites, or even objects at all. It kind of begs the question, what if your pack rat packs up and moves outside the monument? What do? Create a new monument? Look, most of the land within the monument was already protected under various other federal laws and regulations, wilderness study areas, Taylor Grazing Act, and even other sections of the Antiquities Act. This is probably why locals have been agitated since monument was declared and impatient since its reduction. And this brings us to a point where I check out and Chad checks in. For the county seat, I'm Rhea Booth.
149 million years in the making, dinosaurs once roamed this land. Now they're found at the Dinosaur National Monument. Let's take you beyond the bones. We call it Dinosaur Land. You'll find it offers adventures and sights not seen anywhere else in the world. Come to Dinosaur Land, Vernal, Utah. You'll want to stay forever. The dinosaurs did.
Let's be honest, you don't know much about Beaver County. Well, let me tell you about it. It's the birthplace of outlaw Butch Cassidy and adventurer Philo T. Farnsworth. Some of the best skiing in Utah is at Eagle Point. You've got camping, Canyon Breeze Golf Course, Crusher and the Tushers, Beaver Territorial Courthouse, snowmobiling, renewable energy, Pioneer Car Show, Squeaky Cheese, ghost towns to explore, best water in the country, Paiute ATV trails, Old Frisco Kilns, horse races, hunting, fishing, and it's a good place to live. Beaver County, mountains of fun. I could tell you more, but why don't you come and see it for yourself?
Utah Farm Bureau began as a collection of farmers supporting each other to raise the food we enjoy. Today, Farm Bureau membership encompasses everyone, whether ranchers, growers, or just everyday folks like you and me. Members enjoy discounts on items like vehicles and ATVs, or insurance that's very affordable. You don't have to be a farmer to join, and dues are small, but together we make a big difference in keeping our food supply local and abundant. Join Utah Farm Bureau.
Welcome back to the county seat. We are joined for the discussion today about the changes that should happen, have happened, might happen with Grand Staircase and the reduction of the size of the monument. Joining us for the conversation, County Commissioner from Garfield County, Leland Pollock, and State Representative Mike Noel, who's authored a whole bunch of legislation about federal lands here in the state. Thank you for joining us. Has 4 months made a difference in your life out here since they rescinded the monument?
Actually, it's been a lot better for us on public land since Trump came in. I've got to put that plug in, but go ahead, Chad. I know where you're getting.
But the question is, have you noticed the change, or are they still running it like it used to be until they can go through the plan-making process?
I think it's changed significantly with some of the key personnel positions. Brian Steed is now the director of the Bureau of Land Management. He was Chris Stewart's former chief of staff, and we have access. We can talk to him, and I think he's doing a great job there. The problem is we've had 20 plus years of with the monument, and what worked and what didn't work, and more didn't work than did work in terms of multiple use. And the way that monument plan was written, it was really not friendly to people that want to go into the interior of the monument, that want to keep the roads open and be able to go in and actually see the monument. It was written to keep people out of the monument.
Part of that monument, I've never argued, some of it, not even 1 million acres of it, probably 200,000 or 300,000 acres, is actually canyon country that people look at. Bryce Canyon up, that you go up on the rim, 34,000 acres total in that park. Okay, this thing was 2 million acres by the time the state traded out land and everything. They couldn't manage it, and I'll tell you why. A lot of that land was never visited in that monument. It was regular sagebrush, rabbit brush, invasive weeds. All of that land should have been managed like the BLM was mandated in 1934 to manage it, and it was not. So what do you have? You have soil erosion, terrible soil erosion. You have springs that's dried up. You have pinyon and juniper encroachment. And we're not talking about canyon country. We're talking about blue clay, rabbit brush.
Sagebrush flats, massive
sagebrush flats.
Areas that previously had been under a different kind of management.
You can't just park public land and expect that it's going to look better and do better. You've got to do some work on it. You've got to be an active steward of the land. And that's what BLM was supposed to be, stewards of the land. They just bagged it. They said no.
What impact did that have on you as a rancher?
Anybody that runs cattle knows you've got to have water. We've had water dry up all over the monument. And it's not just from a ranching perspective. This hurts all the wildlife. This hurts the lower end. Everybody loves the Ponsegont. I don't care. Worldwide renowned. It's famous.
In the whole United States, mule deer.
They've run out of water. They're hauling water to mule deer right now, down on the Buckskin, on the lower end of the Ponsegont, fact. Okay, so those are pretty serious impacts, and that's not just to the rancher.
And that comes, as we've learned in previous episodes, from not doing proper vegetative treatment.
Absolutely.
It's by turning what was a lush, diverse landscape into a solo monoculture of pinyon juniper, totally, no understory. So who owns the water in the state of Utah? We own 99% of the water. The federal government water rights are really tied to grazing rights. So if we own the water, one of the main things we want to do is make sure that the watershed is protected.
The BLM had it right at one time. I mean, all of these areas that used to have feed for the cattle, for the wildlife, that used to have water, that was good rangeland, used to be managed correctly by the BLM, but we're going back into the 70s, 60s, and then these people with an agenda came in, and look what we've got. We've got real problems.
Are you worried that that by the time the wheels of federal process turn, that the ship will turn around again?
I'm very worried about that.
We're all
I'm
worried.
very, very worried. And so you have to have the right people in place. You've got a new captain at the very head. You've got some of his coaches in there, Brian Steed and others. But you have to fix the team. And the team are some of the entrenched bureaucrats. And there's a group of people on the team that don't want to play the way we want to play, which is multiple use, that don't want to live by the Federal Land Policy Management Act of 1976. When Congress signed off on that act and it was passed, they said, you will give the states very much control. Our planning efforts, our ability to use these lands is inherent in this plan. And that changed when Bill Clinton got in.
True multiple use land was created for everyone. Multiple use means everyone. Not just grazing, not just hiking, not just hunting. Everybody gets to use the land, ATV use, okay? That was taken away by Bill Clinton. The area that that has been affected most, which is most of the monument, is multiple use type land. It is not like Bryce Canyon. That's the takeaway. I want everybody to look at this thing. And I'll come on out to Garfield County and Kane County. I'll show you.
I hope your watchers would go look at a TED Talk by a guy by the name of Alan Savory. He was a wildlife biologist out of Africa. He's got a wonderful story to tell of how, if you leave things alone.
I've seen it.
You've seen that.
Yeah.
That is a very, very, very true film that he talks about in that TED Talk. That's what's happening. He shows the national parks. He shows BLM. He shows the rill and gully erosion. He shows decadent vegetation. When you create the parks and you take the wildlife out, and now we can't really do it with wildlife. We have to do it with cattle. So he's recovered all kinds of lands all across the world to protect watershed, to protect grazing, and to keep wild animals. We want to do that. We want our deer and our elk to be able to thrive here too.
I know that the counties were asked to submit what they thought the monument should be, and then a decision was made for the reduction. Are you happy with what they did to reduce it?
Well, let me tell you, anything is better than what it was, flat out. And we had a president for the first time that come out here, the state of Utah, the state legislature, the counties, the governor signed his resolution, representative, his resolution to come out and do this. And for the first time, a president of the United States come out and did that. We need to honor, at least, I hope, no matter what you think in Utah, honor that president for doing that.
So what do we need to do? What's a call to action? Because we've got a time window, and we've got a process that you say is slowing down and being stalled. What do people that live in these rural parts of the state
We got to talk this guy into running again, because we've got
That's not a fair question for this
small window of opportunity. You are absolutely right.
We have to get it done.
I would support this president. He's done a great job, and we hope he wins again. But in all reality, we may only have 3 years. So we've all got to
We've got to move
hard.
fast. We've got to move quickly. People have to see the
So what do you do to accelerate the process?
Do what we're doing. You got a lot of people working hard. This is one of them here. We're all working hard, Chad. We're doing our part, but we're
Can they truncate NEPA? Is there a way to make those things
I think
happen?
they can do it quicker. I think there's some requirements. We need some people in there that really can look at the regulations and say, this is what needs to be done, and the timing and everything. There's a process you have to go through, but I think they can do something immediately, and one of them would be get some new people in there that really have the background and the interest in trying to go through this whole new plan and get it done in a rapid fashion. Get those people that really believe in multiple use of the public lands and not just setting this land aside and letting it become decadent.
Both of you believe that if we make those changes, that the land will be better for our grandchildren than it is today.
No question about it in my mind. No question about it.
Any last comments, gentlemen?
No, I mean, I think we hit that pretty good, Chad. I think it's been, I've been at it over 20 years. Leland's been at it for how many years?
Well, I'm a lifetime resident, so we've
But I mean, as far as in the policies,
I've been a commissioner now almost 8 years.
8 years, but in the policy part of it, 8 years. I've been at it for 20 years, and even when I worked with the agency, my goal was to get some multiple use of the public lands, and that's one of the things that happened. And when that changed under the Clinton administration, it wasn't a good thing. And so I said, hey, I think I can do more on the outside. And then kind of went into the legislative side and spent 16 years working with you, working with my brother from a different mother, and we've got a lot done. This Porter Rockwell right here, he's solid. He's solid. We've got a good thing of commissioners in my district, 21 county commissioners are pretty much lockstep on this issue.
Now, scoping is always the place where people need to participate, and seldom do they. They always wait until it becomes a comment period on the plans they've come up with. How can people get engaged in the scoping? What do they need to do?
Well, we're advertising the scoping meetings right now. Go to the meetings.
You have to be an expert?
Look, we can't compete with the special interest groups as far as comments that they send in. They have form letters, but you know what? The powers that be know they're sending in form letters and getting lots of that. But I think I urge all of our local folks to come to these scoping meetings.
Yeah, there needs to be input. It's not the matter and the volume of letters, because like the commissioner just said, it's what's said in the letters. It's get the policy right, get the science right, and we strongly believe with the right science that we can have a better managed piece of land. I mean, 5,000 acres total between the Bears Ears and the Grand Staircase. We cut out 5,000 square miles. 5,000 square miles. That's a lot of land to be tied up. That's bigger than some of the smaller states. So I think we can get it right, but we've got to be able to manage it. And you've got a lot of people that want to come and see these beautiful lands. And the way we do that is going to be very, very important.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Thank you for staying with us. We'll be right back. We're going to take a personal look at how the monument and its history has affected some different people around the counties down here in Grand Staircase land when we come back on the county scene.
There's a little place on a Utah map where I was raised, where my heart's at, where the sagebrush grows wild and high, and the stars come out at night. Oh, there ain't nothing like being raised in the basin with a Ute reservation, skiing starvation, that Duchesne County life.
The Layton Hills Mall offers more than just shopping. Bring the whole family and enjoy SeaQuest Interactive Aquarium to feed the fish and exotic birds, hold live reptiles, and even swim with the stingrays. Or pump up the action and visit Dartside, Utah's premier soft foam dart tag arena. And don't forget the Great Room Escape, where you can challenge your friends to solving mysteries inside themed rooms. So come and experience great fun at the Layton Hills Mall and visit playindavis.com for other great activities.
All local products have a story of magical places, real people, and delicious recipes spanning generations. So go ahead and discover flavors you've never tasted and friends you never knew you had. Utah's own Discover Local Food.
Welcome back to the county seat. For those of us who travel the Grand Staircase, it's hard to appreciate the impact the same as someone who lives there.
My name is Claire Ramsey, and on September the 18th, 1996, President Bill Clinton declared the formation or creation of the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. The majority of the people, all the people that I knew, felt like it was a stab in the back when the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument was created and declared not only to Garfield County and the state of Utah, but the whole nation. I don't know anyone that wanted the monument. because it wasn't known. I've never talked to anyone, or I don't know anyone, that actually before it was created said we'd like to have a monument there. I've never seen that. I think maybe they overestimate the value of the monument and what it's done and what it hasn't. I have my doubts.
In the monument, I've got probably 260,000 acres. I am Del Lefevre from Garfield and Kane County. I run cattle in both counties. I've been doing it for years. Okay, this land, I look at it as a garden. If you don't take care of it, the weeds take it over. And that's what's happened out here. The trees is taken over. And so you can't manage it if you're nothing but trees out here. But right now, you can't treat the land. They're doing it in some places, and I'm hoping we can start doing it back up here. They used to chain and rail, and when they done that, you had deer out there, you had, it was a good allotment, and the cows summered out there. Now, it's nothing but sagebrush and trees, and nothing grows under these little timber trees. Looking at that tree right there, see there's very, very little stuff grows under a tree. But you pull him out of there, and then grass comes back. Over the years, we've lost 80% of the grass to trees and sagebrush. This side here, we've pulled these trees out so it'll make more grass. Over here, I haven't got to these over here, but the land don't run too far up that way, but you can look and see how thick the trees is over there, then look down here where they've been pulled out. And this makes a lot more grass. You look back over that way where we pull a lot of trees, and that's all coming back to grass. We used to have real good BLM employees. They was from here, from local, and they kept us abreast of what was going on. We had 16 government employees in Kane and Garfield County before the monument. And after the monument, it went over 100. It's been a long, over the years, it just keeps getting worse. The trees just keep coming thicker, the brush gets higher, and the feed gets shorter.
We'll continue in just a minute on the county seat.
Look south to adventure. Look south to beauty. Look south to San Juan County. Out here, the road goes on forever, and what you'll find will change how you see the world. Climb on your OHV and discover forgotten landscapes and vistas that challenge the imagination. From Blanding and Monticello to the cliff faces of Monument Valley, we're open and ready for you to explore. San Juan County, Utah's Canyon Country.
149 million years in the making, dinosaurs once roamed this land. Now they're found at the Dinosaur National Monument. Let's take you beyond the bones. We call it Dinosaur Land. You'll find it offers adventures and sights not seen anywhere else in the world. Come to Dinosaur Land, Vernal, Utah. You'll want to stay forever. The dinosaurs did.
Welcome back to the county seat and our discussion on the monument reduction for Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument. In this long footprint of time from the creation to reduction, I've spent about a quarter of it as a bystander. The monument was declared in 1996, and at that time, my focus was on boats. The years of jeeping and dirt bike exploration that I enjoyed in my youth, I left behind when I moved from Utah to Pennsylvania. That happened in the early 80s. So when I returned to the sport at the beginning of the Utah Trail Series in 2000, a bunch had changed. When I left, Three-wheelers were the ATV of choice. RS-2477 had never been challenged. Cross-country travel was still the status quo on most BLM land, and range projects were still a major part of the BLM's mission instead of environmental analysis. SUA was 2 years away from creation. I, like most, was not keenly aware of the monument other than it arrived with no warning, cost Democrat Bill Orton his congressional seat, and blocked some sort of coal mine deal that was in the final stages of planning. Since 2000, I have caught up on a great deal regarding the monument. I learned about road closures, the propaganda attack on most users of public land, coal, oil and gas, ranching, off-road recreation, things that all seemed innocuous to me as an off-roader in the day. I looked at the environmental movement in the West as a very different group of people than those who rallied around the Love Canal and fought against acid rain. This wilderness group has always seemed to me to be about excluding me because they perceived that I excluded them, or at least was different than them. It's hard to explain, but it kind of reminds me of the kid in grade school who didn't have a bike, so he would criticize those of us who did, merely because we did. Oh, who needs a stupid old bike anyway? You guys with bikes stink. And that is the same tone I have heard from wilderness proponents who have driven most of the effort to establish these mega monuments across the West, with an eye to exclude everyone but them. I have questioned myself about this impression, to be honest. I've held it for well over a decade now, but the point was driven home as I read the actual proclamation to create Grand Staircase. This one line stood out above all the other of the words written in that document. It said, "The monument presents exemplary opportunities for geologists, paleontologists, or I can't say that, archaeologists, historians, and biologists." As I read this, I saw a glaring omission. There were no exemplary opportunities for travelers, for families, for ranchers, backcountry pilots, campers, or hunters, which might explain why the same people who push so hard for the monument are the same ones who oppose a smaller national park. Truth is, in my opinion, I think they just don't want to share public lands with anyone other than themselves. Imagine if Woody Guthrie, their standard bearer, were to write a song for them. Its first refrains would be like this: "This land is my land. This land is my land. It is not your land. It is only my land." So think about how that song ends. And that's my 2 cents worth. Thanks for watching The County Seat. To comment, you can follow our Facebook page. To share, visit our YouTube channel. Make a point to like us, get midweek updates, and we will see you next week on The County Seat.